Washington Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Congresswoman, thank you for joining me on this, I want to say night of nights. It's the fourth night of nights as we await eagerly more information about the balance of power. I wonder what you think of this notion that's been floated, that if the GOP does end up holding on to control of the lower chamber, and it's by a very slim majority, which very much looks like it could be the case, there's talk that Democrats could cut a deal with a moderate Republican to basically prevent someone like Kevin McCarthy from becoming Speaker of the House. Is that something that's been discussed in your caucus?
No, listen, Alex, it's great to see you, first of all, as always. I think what we are still focused on is the fact that we still have a chance to hold the House, and the fact that when people say, oh, these are wildly unexpected results, well, yes and no, Alex. It turns out that when you promise a whole bunch of things that help make people's lives better and you actually deliver on them, people get excited and they turn out. So and they vote for you and they want you to come back and do more for them. And so I think that, what I'm struck by is how I don't know what the Republicans are going to do, but I can tell you that this is not going to be a cakewalk. Even if they do get into the majority, it is not going to be a cakewalk for Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker. They are going to fight with each other. They have a base of their party that has, frankly, brought the Republican Party down to such a low level that we are, I believe, we're going to have an extra seat in the Senate for Democrats. And I think that there's still a very narrow path, but still a path for us to hold in the House. I'm looking at states like Pennsylvania, where people delivered for working people. And the Republicans, in contrast, just want to take down our democracy and want to take away Social Security, Medicare, abortion rights. And I think people are seeing that.
When you talk about the majority, it's going to be a precarious hold no matter who has it, right? These are not going to be large margins that either party has in terms of control of the lower chamber. I think a lot of folks don't understand how volatile the numbers are in the House. We're talking about 435 people. A lot of things happen every year. I mean, unfortunately, during COVID, some people passed away. People take new jobs. People are called away from office. There are a lot of different dynamics at play. And when you're talking about a handful of seats that separate control of the lower chamber, I wonder if Democrats are sort of thinking about possible eventualities, whether they're planning for a potentially volatile, I won't say power struggle, but, effort to keep the caucuses together.
Well, that's always the case. I mean, people always talked about the Senate being evenly divided in the last term. But as you may remember, there were times when we only had a 3-seat margin in the House because people did retire or they moved on to positions and there were open seats for a while. And so we have had this situation of having 3, 4, or 5-seat majority. And all kinds of things happen in those situations. I think what's going to be important is if, and it's a big if, Republicans take the House. I'm not conceding that yet, Alex. But if they do, and it's a tiny margin, I think Democrats will be the last line of defense for working people, for poor people, for folks of color, for young people who turned out in massive numbers in this election, unbelievable turnout here, to make sure that we protect the wins that we had before and that we protect future erosions of rights and freedoms and economic benefits for working people across the country. That there's always weird combinations of people that come together when you have these small margins. And I'm really excited about the fact that we also have, by the way, 15 of our 18 Progressive Caucus members that we endorsed at the CPC PAC have already won. We have 2 that are still outstanding, only 1 that has been declared a loss. So we also have some great new members and firsts coming into the House that are really going to strengthen our entire caucus.
I just got to ask you one more question as you look at the landscape of protecting those freedoms. It looks like members of the House Freedom Caucus are going to have ever more power with these slim majorities. Does that concern you, the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene may sit on a committee again?
Well, it certainly concerns me for our country, for our democracy. And here's the thing. The Freedom Caucus has always been a caucus of no. People used to try and compare the Progressive Caucus and the Freedom Caucus. The Progressive Caucus is a caucus of yes. We know how to govern. We knew that there were slim margins. We worked with the president on his agenda to deliver real results. The Freedom Caucus essentially blows things up and is not a friend of working people. So, yes, it concerns me because it also concerns me about, what people across the country are going to have to experience in terms of the ultra mega extreme agenda and how they try to marginalize and target people across this country.
All right, buckle up in the short term. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, congratulations again. Thank you for your time.